Carrie wasn't just another high school revenge horror. Behind the prom night blood and telekinetic rage, there's a darker story the studio tried to bury, a story about a deleted scene so disturbing it never made it to theaters, a story about an alternate ending that would have changed everything. These are 12 creepy facts about Carrie, and hidden in them is the shocking truth that the original cut was far more violent than what you saw, and the studio made sure it stayed locked away. Number 1. Stephen King sold the movie rights to his novel for only $40,000. That's the deal. Why so cheap? Because in 1975, King was a broke school teacher, and Carrie was his first published novel. He had no leverage. What most people don't realize is that King later admitted he almost threw the manuscript in the trash. His wife Tabitha pulled it out and told him to finish it. Without her, there's no Carrie, no Prom Massacre, no film. The studio got one of the most iconic horror properties ever made for pocket change, and Brian De Palma turned that gamble into a nightmare that still haunts people today. Number 2. Sissy Spacek lived in the character for weeks before filming started. She refused to wash off the fake blood between takes. Reports say she'd walk around the set with dried pig blood crusting on her skin and hair. The crew started avoiding her. Why go that far? Spacek wanted to feel the humiliation and rage Carrie felt every single day. She even slept in her bloody prom dress one night to stay in the headspace. De Palma later said it was method acting that bordered on dangerous, but it worked. That final scene where Carrie walks out of the gym covered in blood, every ounce of trauma on her face is real, and it cost Spacek her sanity for a while. Number 3. Infamous shower scene was shot in one brutal day. But here's the problem. None of the young actresses wanted to do it. They were terrified of being naked on camera, so De Palma did something wild. He had Spacek go first. She stripped down and stepped into the cold tile shower surrounded by crew and light. Once the other girls saw her commit, they followed. What were they afraid of? Being mocked, being exposed. The scene had to feel raw and vulnerable because that's the moment Carrie's nightmare begins. And the fear you see on screen? That's real teenage anxiety captured on film. De Palma knew how to manipulate emotion. That leads to number 4. Number 4. The pig's blood dumped on Carrie wasn't just corn syrup. It was a mix of Caro syrup and food coloring heated to body temperature. Why heat it? Because cold liquid would have made Spacek gasp or react wrong. De Palma wanted her to stand there in shock, letting it soak in. The bucket itself weighed 30 pounds. When it dropped, it nearly knocked her over. Some crew members claimed the rig malfunctioned during the first take, and Spacek almost got hurt. She had to stand under those hot lights with sticky blood drying on her for hours. The smell was rancid. The humiliation was real. And that's why the scene still makes people squirm, because the next part is worse. Number 5. There's a deleted scene that shows Carrie's father. It was cut because it made the story too complicated. In the original script, Carrie's mother reveals that she was assaulted, and that's how Carrie was conceived. The scene showed a flashback with a shadowy figure in a dark hallway, buzzing fluorescent lights, a metal door slamming. It was brutal. Test audiences said it was too much. The studio panicked. They thought it would push the film into exploitation territory and kill the PG rating they were hoping for, so they buried it. The footage reportedly still exists in the MGM vault, but it's never been released. What were they afraid of? That showing the truth about Carrie's origin would make her too sympathetic or too disturbing, and this is where it gets weird. Number 6. The movie was almost rated X. The shower scene, the blood, the violence, it all pushed the MPAA to the edge. De Palma had to cut several frames of nudity and trim the prom massacre to avoid the ban. What most people don't realize is that the original cut ran 14 minutes longer. Those missing minutes included more graphic shots of students burning alive and Carrie using her powers to snap necks. The studio locked that version away. It's rumored a work print exists somewhere, but no one's seen it publicly. The R-rated version you know is the compromise. The real nightmare stayed buried, and that's just the beginning. Number 7. John Travolta almost didn't get cast as Billy. He was a TV actor known for Welcome Back, Kotter. De Palma thought he was too soft for the role of a violent, rage-filled bully, but Travolta showed up to the audition in a leather jacket and greased back hair. He smoked a cigarette. He sneered. He became Billy. The truth is, Travolta wanted to prove he could play dark. He later said playing Billy helped him break out of the sitcom box. Without that role, there's no Saturday Night Fever, no Grease, no career. Carrie was his ticket, and the studio almost said no. Number 8. The famous hand grab at the end wasn't in the script. It was De Palma's idea, borrowed from an old nightmare he had as a kid. The scene where Sue kneels at Carrie's grave and the bloody hand shoots up. Pure dream logic. Here's the scary part. They only had one take. The crew rigged the grave with a trapdoor, and Spacek's arm had to punch through at the exact right moment. Amy Irving, who played Sue, didn't know when it would happen. Her scream, completely genuine. She was so startled she nearly fell over. De Palma kept the camera rolling. That moment became one of the most iconic jump scares in horror history, and it almost didn't happen. Number 9. The Prom Massacre was filmed in an abandoned high school in Los Angeles. The building was cold. The hallways smelled like mildew and old paint. Some crew members reported hearing footsteps when no one was there. Paranormal? Maybe just nerve. But De Palma used that atmosphere. He shot most of the massacre at night under harsh lights to make it feel like a fever dream. The spinning split-screen sequence took 3 days to film and edit. It was a technical nightmare. Every angle had to sync perfectly. One mistake and the whole thing fell apart. What were they afraid of? That the chaos wouldn't feel real. It did, and it still does. Number 10. Piper Laurie, who played Carrie's mother, thought the script was a comedy. She wasn't joking. When she first read it, she assumed it was a dark satire about religious fanaticism. She even asked De Palma if it was supposed to be funny. He told her to play it completely straight, so Laurie went full zealot. The knife scene, the closet, the self-flagellation. She committed like it was Shakespeare. The performance earned her an Oscar nomination. Behind that iconic role was an actress who didn't even realize she was in a horror movie until she saw the final cut. Now watch this. Number 11. There's an alternate ending that was filmed but scrapped. In that version, Carrie survives. She's shown walking along a highway, bloody and broken as the sun rises. The final shot is her thumb out, hitchhiking. It was supposed to leave the door open for a sequel. Test audiences hated it. They wanted Carrie to die. They wanted closure. The studio listened. De Palma cut it and went with the nightmare hand ending instead. That footage reportedly still exists, but it's never been included in any director's cut or Blu-ray release. What were they afraid of? That a happy ending, or even an ambiguous one, would ruin the tragedy. And they were right. Number 12. The entire budget was under $2 million. That's nothing, even for 1976. De Palma had to get creative. The telekinetic effects were done with wires, magnets, and reverse photography. The prom fire? Controlled burns on a soundstage with a crew holding fire extinguishers just out of frame. The blood? Gallons of cheap syrup. Every trick was low-tech and dangerous. 2 stunt performers were treated for minor burns. The film made over $30 million at the box office. It launched careers, it defined a genre, and it proved that you don't need a massive budget to create a nightmare that lasts forever. So here's the truth they didn't want you to know. Carrie was almost rated X. The original cut was longer, bloodier, and more disturbing. Scenes were deleted, an ending was buried, and the studio made sure the nightmare you saw was just controlled enough to get into theaters. But the real horror, the one that stayed locked in the vault, might be even worse. Carrie became a legend not because everything went right, but because it nearly fell apart. And that's what makes it so terrifyingly real. Thanks for watching. Hit like, drop a comment with your favorite fact, and subscribe for more creepy movie secrets.